Star Wars Jedi Survivor launches this month on April 28th and is said to be more ambitious in every way than its already awesome predecessor. With only a few weeks until then, here's a comprehensive list of things you absolutely should know before playing it. Also, there's still time to enter my giveaway for a deluxe edition of the game. All you have to do is to be subscribed to the channel, leave a like on the video, and comment below your favorite new feature. That being said, the new Star Wars game will feature a much larger and more populated playground than Fallen Order, with a massive focus on expansive maps and abundance of NPCs. While still technically not a fully open world game by any means, it does however provide access to multiple planets with a nice mix between more open styled exploration and linear level design. We've seen 2 such planets being confirmed up until this point officially, including Kobo, of which most of the early previews and trailers were focused on, and more recently Coruscant during the 2023 Star Wars Celebration livestream, as well as the recent trailers. While we do know that Kobo is impressive in its scale, not much is known about Coruscant until now, and chances are it might feature a more restrictive level design instead. According to EA, only the planet being playable has been confirmed so far, not that it's a freely explorable open world. So it's entirely possible this is just a linear level we get at some point, but given its importance to the time period, it could also provide something more substantial. However that ends up being, you won't be disappointed with how much Respawn has expanded upon everything we've done in the first game, from the things you visit to the characters you meet. Kobo alone is as impressive as it is filled with things to do, even going as far as featuring multiple biomes on its own. Like the starting desert looking area was mostly just around the town of Rambler's Reach, but there's a whole jungle to explore that's even bigger, secret caves and other hidden areas on the outskirts to fully catch your attention. The most important is of course Rambler's Reach, a rather large settlement that provides plenty access to additional quests, NPCs to talk to, vendors, and awesome new gameplay mechanics. One of them is the Cantina, which is where the story brings us early on. Upon crashing on Kobo, Cal must find someone here to help him repair his Mantis ship. But this place alone is filled with characters to meet and quests to complete, many of which will actually change the world around you and make your playthrough a lot more unique. One side quest, for example, lets you bring this DJ droid back into the cantina and basically play music for you. You can even interact with it and later on even unlock more tracks to choose different songs to play in the background. Meanwhile, others are more substantial, letting you change the town in more noticeable ways. From the early gameplay previews, Cal's comment suggests that there will be a point later on when we get to clean up some of the more rundown parts of the cantina, possibly unlocking them and providing new content. Talking to locals is equally as important, as they can now provide you with rumors, which oftentimes lead to hidden encounters or other side objectives, such as the one leading to the fight against the Rancor. Probably the most unexpected is how Respawn expanded on the terrarium mechanic we had in the first game, so now it feels a lot more impactful. Because on the rooftop of the cantina, Cal now gets access to a lot that he can customize by growing plants. This is done of course by using the seeds we'll once again find in the wild, letting us choose both the plants we want to grow as well as the colors that they feature. Presumably there's also a fishing minigame that lets us collect various specimens of swimming creatures to place in the aquarium back at the cantina, and possibly way more. But more customization is a design philosophy that also applies more extensively this time around to both Cal as well as BD1. We had a first look at Domadendra's storefront in Rambler's Reach, which lists a wide selection of hairstyles, jackets, and other cool things to buy with the prior right charts that we'll find while playing. Personally, I'm most excited for the wide range of hair options for Cal that seem to do a great job at changing his style up. Even more so now that we don't just have access to ponchos, but new jackets and other cool outfit styles more suited for a Jedi like this on the run. This is now all neatly split into several categories, including hairstyles, facial hair, jackets, shirts, and pants, each with unlockable color options to make your versions of Cal really stand out. BD1 also gets an extensive level of customization with seemingly dozens of new options for every part of his body, from the photoreceptors all the way to the body and legs. Noteworthy is that the priorite shards can also be used to buy a mysterious code from Doma, which opens up one of the locked areas inside of her shop. Nobody got that far yet in the demo, however, but that's another nice way the game gives you extra things to do by providing new reasons to go out there and explore. And speaking of exploration, at number 4, Respawn has made tremendous leaps in what Cal can do and where he can reach. One is how Cal himself proves to be more efficient at navigating rough terrain. Thanks to the air dive skill, he can now reach places further away and grab onto or climb points with the use of his grappling hook, something that's heavily featured in many of the environments we'll get to explore. Also, we've seen dozens of old and new puzzle types that will really put your skills to the test, from collapsing the environment to make a path ahead, all the way to using the force abilities to open up new areas. There's more puzzles and platforming segments than ever before, including a brand new look at time trials that will really put your abilities to the test. The game really doesn't hold your hand during these moments, and it's up to you to figure things out and make the most out of Cal's arsenal to get ahead. But Respawn assures us that all of these will be heavily rewarded with a lot of cool new upgrades and other customization options, so definitely something to keep you going. But probably the most significant trials will be the Jedi Chambers, which offer a combination between puzzles, platforming, and other challenges including combat. During these, players have to complete these hidden zones, but will be rewarded heavily with extra skill points and ways to further upgrade Cal's powers. One of them is via the perks, such as the agility one we're seeing right here from one of IGN's interviews, and these almost act like the ones from God of War Ragnarok, where you can slot in additional boosts into your perk system to further improve your combat capabilities. It's not just the stats, however, but cosmetics too. As I previously mentioned, the game has more of those than ever before, and plenty of ways the game incentivizes you to go out there and get them. Of course, it seems that every planet will hold a few Jedi Chambers, including several ones that already exist on Koboh alone, so you will always want to search for them and complete them for the cool stuff you get from inside. But that alone won't be enough to traverse the new terrain and navigate the massive new world, which is where the new mounts help a ton with. One that we saw early in the previews is the Nako, a ground mount that we'll get to tame while on Koboh, and this will be vital to making exploration much easier over there. It also comes with at least 2 abilities, one of which lets it climb some of these slopes that are normally too slippery for Cal to climb on his own. But it can also be used to jump boost and then launch you into otherwise inaccessible climbing points, giving you access to new areas you otherwise could not reach. The best part is that you can call this creature at any time once you tamed it the first time, and it will actually come from wherever it might be hiding, so you don't have to go ahead and grab another one. Even more fun, to me at least, is likely going to be the Belter, this flying pterodactyl looking creature that we saw during the early previews. This will give you a great overview of the planet since it lets you fly really high up and give you a better understanding of what's left to discover. Even more so, it's pretty much needed for a lot of the very high up places that you normally cannot even reach without it, so definitely something that you want to use. Plus, its fast speed and dive abilities make it seem super fun, not just useful. Of course, there are other creatures we can interact with, including being able to pet some of these pet boglings in one of these scenes, but possibly there's way more. Meditation points have also gotten an upgrade, letting you now also use them as fast travel points between each other once unlocked. This on top of course, resetting your HP and some of your healing stims. Fallen Order was notorious for having a few areas with some pretty rough backtracking, while between the fast travel and the mounts, this should no longer be an issue moving forward. Moving on though, combat has gone through one of the biggest upgrades with a bigger focus on multiple playstyles and fully realized stances. Early previews also mentioned it feels a lot more dynamic and much more brutal than ever before. Cal gets a lot of new ways to interact with his enemies, especially via his force powers, to better use their own weapons against them or even batter them with their own shields. Dismemberment is another big one, and this isn't just added for flavor, even though it is appreciated, but it's a whole mechanic in and of itself. Many of the more difficult enemies can have limbs cut off, which results in disabling parts of some of their attacks as a result. A bit like how it is in Dead Space, which I really liked, so it's nice to see this feature here too. Plus, tons of new finishing takedowns, combat animations that were refined, and attack types will make it feel more fresh and more impactful than ever. One of the components of the brand new combat system is the Advanced Force Confusion. This is going to be one of the new abilities that has its own dedicated skill tree as it now lets you take control over creatures and turn them against their allies. We've seen Cal being able to turn the wildlife on Kobo against a group of stormtroopers, effectively creating plenty of room for him to focus on other things, as the creature was pretty much mowing everybody down. But he can also take control of other creatures like the Rakas here, which do this charge attack that's really annoying. So instead of having that against you, you can just use the Force Confusion and have those creatures use the charge against some of their allies or other enemies, which is actually also quite fun to look at. Of course, moving on to number 8, you already know that combat stances are back, but also a lot more expanded upon, with 5 in total unlockable at the same time, each with their own skill trees. You can only equip 2 of them at the same time, however, so there's going to be some limitations to that. The dual wield now gets its own stance and will probably be my go-to playstyle early on due to its focus on quick and devastating attacks. It's more high risk, high reward, it's true, but has plenty of ways to get in and out of range very quickly thanks to abilities like the backstep slash that lets it create distance from his enemies. Plus, it's the only stance that lets you split bullets in half and hit back 2 enemies with just one of the incoming blaster shots. Also looking forward to the blaster stance, probably the least shown up until this point, that's supposedly going to give Cal the ability to also wield a blaster in conjunction with the lightsaber for better dealing with both close and longer range enemies. Crossguard stance is the third new one added, focusing on the hilted lightsaber, a much larger and deliberate playstyle that is slower but also deals much higher damage. Besides these, Single Blade is making a return, providing the more balanced gameplay with good focus on both damage and defenses, and then finally the Double Wield, aka the Staff, a more AoE-centric option with plenty of spin attacks and ways to take down multiple enemies at the same time. Speaking of the skill system, this got a significant upgrade as well and carries over with most of the upgrades from the first game, so no, Cal will not feel artificially weaker, will not have to relearn the same skills again, but instead will progress with existing ones and there's gonna be new ones on top to acquire. In fact, there's 9 different skill trees providing almost double the amount of perks than before, from around 30 in Fallen Order to over 70 in Jedi Survivor. This includes the 5 skill trees for the 5 existing lightsaber stances, 3 force skill trees, one of them which deals with the basic force abilities like pull, push, and the telekinesis type abilities from the first game, another one dealing with the new force confusion ability we talked about before, and the third force skill, which is a tree that helps with buffs to maximum force, stamina, and so on for Cal. And finally, one survival skill tree providing upgrades to Cal's health, even more so to the stims he can carry and how much they heal for, and so on. Not all skill trees are available at the start, however, and some of them unlock as you unlock their respective powers, such as the blaster stance, which comes a bit later, so its tree only unlocks and is available once you get that ability. Respawn also added an ability preview, which now lets you see what the skill you just unlocked does and looks like, providing a better insight than just a brief description. Furthermore, you can fully respec your skill by refunding the ones that you've unlocked should you decide to go with a different setup instead. Good to note is that the first refund is free, while the following ones will cost 1 skill point each to refund. Just like in the last game, baseline skills start with a cost of 1 skill point, but the upper ones can reach 2, even 3 skill points each, so the more advanced they are, the more they will cost. Finally, Jedi Survivor adds one more feature that's really exciting, and that's the companions. We saw 2 of them so far being confirmed, including Bode, which can be seen doing a team combo with Cal against one of these droids. But Merrin, who will be making a return to the crew, is not just alive but also seen engaging in a similar joint attack against other enemies in different trailers. These are only 2 companions, by the way, with possibly way more incoming. So far we do know that eventually we'll have to get back our former Mantis crew, so it's entirely possible some of them will accompany us as well. The only question remaining is the extent of our relationship with these companions, if it's a one-off mission related thing or a system we can expand upon with skills and reputation. So yeah, keeping hopes high for that. This is it with the breakdown of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Of course, let me know down below what are you excited for most for this game, and I'll see you guys in the next video.